Ideally, I would be doing all of these with my kid, like at home, or, if it was a gym like that where you go and you could do it, like, I mean, they probably have different classes for adults and children, but
I don't think you have to join organized sports, but it will definitely benefit the kid to experience an educator and to learn how to navigate being taught something. I think that's a skill by itself. So coachability,
especially when you might not like the coach,
yeah,
or the teammates.
When you don't like the coach and when you don't like, not if.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I think what would be super cool, and this is something that I'd like to try, and I don't know if it's feasible, but if I take my kid to let's just use a jiu-jitsu gym, right? I also want to take a couple jiu-jitsu lessons because obviously I'm an adult and I'm smarter than them by a little bit. But if I can learn some jiu-jitsu, now it's something that we can do together outside of that facility. Even better.
Yeah, ideally, I would be doing all of these with my kid, like at home, or, if it was a gym like that where you go and you could do it, like, I mean, they probably have different classes for adults and children, but,
Probably, but maybe not.
Yeah, but, that's what I would ideally be participating in any way I could.
Yeah, now the cool thing about being alive today is that with like 3 or 4 hours of Google and YouTube searching, you can know a lot about how to teach someone a skill and the names of the skills and how the sport works. And there is somebody who is a genius in that sport who has already done a free YouTube series on how to start wrestling and how to start basketball and beginner drills for gymnastics. It's so easy to help your kids learn that way.
Yep. So I think moral of the story here is just try as many different sports as you can.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And this probably goes up until, like we said, elementary school. This probably goes all the way through high school, if we're being honest, but maybe it starts to tone down a little bit.
Yeah.
As you start to get into high school,
I think you just have to start the funnel wide and then you move it narrower and narrower and narrower. And I think even in high school, you shouldn't be a one sport athlete. You don't have to do it competitively, but like my sister was a really good gymnast and she played basketball until high school. And she was so bad at it, but she liked it because there was no pressure. It was fun. It was athletic. She did things that were so opposite of her sport of choice.
Yeah, I think that's probably the way it should lean towards in high school, is like maybe by that point you've chosen a sport that you really like. That's your sport. Mm-hmm. But then you can have at least one, maybe two other sports that you do throughout the year that are just really just for fun. Like you're not trying to, be impressive in them. You're just doing them for fun. They give you something, like you said, that kind of is different from what your main sport is. So it kind of balances you out.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of the way it moves towards.
Yeah. And this could be the time when you decide if they're going to do athletics for a hobby, athletics for competition, or just being active and having a purpose for activity so that they can be a painter and be healthy. Or they can be a computer programmer, but still have a healthy lifestyle.
Right. Which I think at the end of the day, that's the goal, regardless of whether they become a professional athlete,
Yeah.
It's to have that professional lifestyle kind of built in.
Mm-hmm. Now, go ahead.
I was going to say, so I had like these 3 basic phases for this plan. And everything we just talked about kind of covers my first phase there, which I just described as basic movement coordination.
Play?
Yeah, playing. So that's everything that we just got through. So the next phase I have here, and have a different next phase, maybe you have the same phase, but starting to incorporate dedicated like exercise, specifically in the form of resistance training.
Yep.
So I don't know if you have the same thing or not, but when would you start to, what age do you think? Or
okay. So let me, I want to answer your question and I promise I will. So when we train people, we don't talk about their biological age. When we talk about them as a client, we talk about their training age. And training age, for if you don't know this, is how much experience does someone have in this category of activity. The higher the age, the more precise we have to push them, the more precise or challenging that piece can be. And training age is somewhat sport specific, but the wider your base of experience, the less time you need to achieve proficiency.
Yeah.
So if you do gymnastics, you play basketball, and you wrestle, it's pretty easy to teach you how to play football. It's pretty easy to teach you to be a good swimmer. It's pretty easy to teach you how to be a power lifter, right? Because you have these
foundation.
Yeah, you have movement patterns that have hopefully been introduced correctly.
Yeah.
So when do I want to start resistance training with my kid? And it's in elementary school.
I got no problem with that. I think as soon as they look like they can, as soon as they can play a solid game of tag.
Yeah.
And let me be clear, when I say resistance training, a lot of times we immediately think of barbell, but that's not what I'm necessarily talking about. Could simply be learning how to do a proper squat without any weight. This could be push-ups. This could be, pushing a heavy stroller,
carrying dad up the stairs.
Yeah, exactly. Pulling me in a sled,
Yeah. So it's more structured than play. So the kid has to be able to communicate for like two ways, and they have to be able to, and it doesn't have to be verbal, but they have to be able to hear what you say and do some sort of application and respond to corrective cues.
Yes.
And in my opinion, in a squat, if their feet are on the ground flat, I'm just going to let them squat a PVC and snatch a PVC and do presses with the PVC. And now, I want them to do the workout with me. They have their jump rope, they have their weight. It could be a blow up dumbbell and have no weight, but I just want them to start to move. And I know that people will refine their movements with a little bit of coaching and a lot of practice.
Yeah. Yep. I agree with that. I see you talking about snatching with a PVC pipe. So I would have them do something like that at a very young age, probably. But then, as they, let's say that now they're 12 years old or something. So they're starting to really start to develop here, and they have some decent motor control now. Cool. Now I would go the opposite direction, and those complicated snatches and stuff are probably out the door for a little bit in my book. And we're going back to just
bodybuilding
and powerlifting.
Squat, bench, dead. Yeah.
And at this point, maybe we're starting to work in a super light barbell, but trying to learn how to control those objects, and build those fine muscles.
What kind of rep schemes do you want these kids following at this point?
So it kind of depends, I guess. On the one hand, I want them to actually learn how to do the thing properly, which would probably mean small reps and more sets. You know what I mean? On the other hand, though, maybe we'll get into some higher rep stuff once they develop, that motor control.
So teaching is 10 sets of 3.
Yeah, exactly.
And then working out would be 3 to 5 sets of 10.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking too. Because I want them to spend some focus time slow.
Yeah.
And then when it comes time to challenging their muscles, I want it to be muscle fatigue and not lack of strength.
Yes, I like that. So that's what we'd be doing. Yeah, those lower rep, just trying to learn how to do it properly. To make sure when you're doing a bench press, you have all the right muscles engaged, and it's not just middle of your back flat on the bench, shoulders forward, and just throwing it around.
That's how you bench though, right?
It is how you bench, but I don't want them to know how to bench properly.
Fair. Yeah. So the coolest idea in this is that I start an adult the same place I'd start a 12-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Hinge, squat, push, pull. And then when we do cardio, you know, they could do box step ups, they can do jump rope, they can do burpees, they can do sit ups, they can even do like wall walks, which are super fun.
Yeah. At this phase of the development though, like when you're just starting them, again, let's say 12 or 13 or whatever on like the barbell type stuff. So the primary focus for me is going to be on that strength component, you know, teaching them how to do that part.
Yeah.
And then when we do a workout at the end, I'm not trying to make them like get after it super hard, you know, just like it's an easy workout. Like it's almost like play kind of, but still structured.
I
Running
think
down.
at 12 though, I think at 12 you're doing an AMRAP.
Yeah, something like that. But I'm not worried about if they're like really getting after it as hard as they can, you know? It's just like
Yeah.
move. Yeah.
Now, if you are doubtful at all of your skills to teach this, get a personal trainer and just have them work with you once a week, and then you just reinforce after that, or twice a week or 3 times, whatever you can afford, because this is literally the most important time for their development. Because if they learn it correctly, they will always do it correctly. If they learn it incorrectly, it will take 2 to 3, probably 3 to 5 times the amount of work to unwork those bad habits.